Hey Falcons fans! There was a big news story recently that caused quite a stir. This has happened twice already this season, and now it's been confirmed for the third time. I'll give you all the details, but before we get into today's news, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any Atlanta Falcons updates. We have some breaking news today that you won't want to miss, so stick with me until the end. Okay, let's talk about the Falcons practice squad being a hot target for NFL teams lately. In just 10 days, the Atlanta Falcons have lost 3 players from their practice squad, the most recent being tight end John Fitzpatrick, who is headed to the Green Bay Packers. Yes, you heard right, another player poached. Fitzpatrick's move to the Packers is the third time a Falcons player has been poached this month. Previously, we saw rookie defensive tackle Zion Logue join the Buffalo Bills on October 1st, and just a few days ago, offensive lineman Andrew Stuber was signed by the Cincinnati Bengals on October 7th. Now, many of you probably remember John Fitzpatrick. He played for the University of Georgia from 2018 to 2021 before joining the Falcons in 2022 as a 6th-round draft pick. He had a rough rookie season, sidelined by injuries, but returned this year. Fitzpatrick even made the Falcons' active roster, playing in 9 games last season. His lone reception, a 12-yarder against the New Orleans Saints, may have been his last regular season highlight for his hometown team, at least for now. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches and weighing in at 245 pounds, Fitzpatrick isn't just a receiving threat. He's known for his blocking ability and contributions on special teams. Last season, he even recorded 3 tackles in punt and kick coverage, something the Packers will likely be hoping to build on. As for the Falcons, we still have a solid group of tight ends. Kyle Pitts, Charlie Warner, and Ross Dwelley are still on the active roster. And let's not forget our recent addition to the practice squad, Armani Rogers, a former college quarterback who was signed Monday. The Falcons certainly have no shortage of talent at the position, but losing Fitzpatrick hurts, especially with all the recent practice squad incursions. Looking ahead, the Falcons are set to take on the Carolina Panthers this Sunday at 4:25 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium. With a 3-2 record, we're coming into this game with some momentum, but it's always tough to see players leave, especially homegrown talent like Fitzpatrick. Now, I want to hear from you, Falcons Nation. What do you think of all these teams targeting our practice squad? Do you think we have enough depth to keep rolling, or is this starting to get worrisome? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now for the big question, can the Falcons get their running game going again? We all know the Falcons' running game started off strong, but it's been struggling lately. After rushing at least 20 times in the first 3 games, our guys have only managed 15 and 18 rushing attempts in the last 2 games. We haven't topped 100 yards rushing since week 2, and that's the only time we've done so this season. To make matters even more frustrating, we've only found the end zone on the ground once this year. With a backfield that features Robinson, this is definitely not what we expected. Coming into the season, everyone thought this duo would be unstoppable, but it's starting to look like our running game is starting to have some serious leaks. So what's going on? Is it injuries on the offensive line? Mismanagement of our running backs? Or maybe the emergence of Kirk Cousins as a bigger offensive weapon is forcing our coaches to change their focus? Let's talk about the offensive line for a minute. The drop in rushing attempts is not a coincidence. It's directly tied to the injuries we've had up front. We lost Drew Dalman and Caleb McGarry, 2 key players in our blocking scheme. Ryan Newsel stepped in, and while he's done well, allowing no sacks and only a handful of pressures, he's no Dalman. His struggles are most apparent in the run game, where he struggled to connect with his blocks at times. He even had a costly holding penalty last week that negated a good run by Allgeier. McGarry returned for the Tampa Bay game, but he still doesn't seem to be 100%. It's understandable that Zach Robinson might be wary of putting too much pressure on an injured line, but sticking with the outside zone scheme is causing its own set of problems. In order for a zone blocking scheme to work, you need continuity. The linemen need to be in sync. With Newsel filling in, our left and right guards are having to adjust to his movement, which has a ripple effect. Every time we rotate someone new onto the line, the whole process starts over. This is making it harder for the running game to find its rhythm. That's why I think we need to mix things up with some gap scheme concepts. Gap schemes allow linemen to use natural blocking angles and focus on their specific assignments, rather than relying on the synchronization required for zone blocking. According to PFF, the Falcons have run 83 zone plays compared to just 18 gap plays in 5 weeks. I'm not saying we need a total identity change, but moving to something like a 70-30 split can take some of the pressure off and make life easier for our linemen. In a gap scheme, you have concepts like blocking down and kicking out, using double teams, and having pulling blockers, all things that can create those running lanes we need. The best part is that it's something most linemen have done at almost every level of football, so it's not a foreign concept. We just need to call the plays in the right situations to make it effective. Speaking of schemes, let's talk about how Zach Robinson has made the passing game work. He started tailoring plays to his receiver's strengths, Drake London as the power slot, Kyle Pitts running more vertical routes, and Darnell Mooney staying on the outside where he's most effective. It's time to apply the same thinking to the running game. We know that Bijan Robinson thrives running inside, especially through the A-gap. According to PFF, Bijan has 177 yards between the tackles, and 129 of those have come through the A-gap. This tells us that Bijan is naturally gravitating toward inside runs, so let's give him more than he's comfortable with. Last week against Tampa Bay, Bijan had just one inside handoff, and it was for 6 yards. That was his only inside run of the day. We need to give him more of those chances. Another thing that stands out is that Bijan is running out of shotgun and pistol sets way too often. He ranks 41st in the league when it comes to rushing from the center, with just 37.3% of his runs coming from that formation. Compare that to Tyler Allgeier, who ranks 36th at 42.4%. Bijan is also facing stack boxes, 8+ defenders, on 17.9% of his runs, while Allgeier faces just 6.1% of his team's runs. That's the second lowest in the league among qualified backs. Defenses are focusing on Bijan, and we're not doing him any favors by putting him in tough situations. When Bijan is on the field, the defense knows what's coming, and it's up to Zach Robinson to change that. The NFL is all about adjustments, and right now, the Falcons' running game seems stuck in the past while other teams are thriving on the ground. Remember back in Week 2 when everyone was talking about how the running game would boost this offense? There was even talk of Kirk Cousins being more of a game manager. But Cousins has proven he's more than that. He's had some great performances, like his game against Tampa Bay. But we can't expect him to throw the ball 50+ times a week. That's not a sustainable formula for success. What we need is balance. When the Falcons can rely on both the run and the pass, this offense has the potential to be dangerous. Cousins has shown he can be a legitimate threat, and if the running game improves, we could have a top 10 offense on our hands. With 9 days to prepare for the Carolina Panthers, I expect Zach Robinson and the coaching staff to make some changes to the running game. We've seen them adjust the passing game, and now it's time to do the same for the ground attack. Falcons fans, what do you think? Can the running game get back on track? What adjustments would you make? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Falcons updates. Go Falcons!